November of 2022 is the cover image of Drake and 21 Savage's collaborative mixtape, Her Loss. Well, model, adult dancer, nail stylist, and artist Suki Baby, well, she was born at Qui Yasuka in North Carolina. Now, as you might imagine, when Drake and 21 Savage originally revealed Suki Baby in the front cover of their new mixtape, well, it left many fans confused, wondering not only who this mysterious woman was, but how she earned this distinction in the first place. I mean, did she fly out to Drake's house like Ice Spice? Actually not. But lucky for us podcast host Gulnia, you have no idea how many times I tried to say that name. Anyway, she works at G-Talk and she spoke to Suki a little over a year ago. Now, she got her to open up about her past and her personal interests, some of which provide some insight to a lot of our early questions. So here we go. In the state of North Carolina, well, she spent the majority of her childhood living in Japan with her mother. Now, during that period of time, well, Japanese would become the first language she would ever learn to speak, but her adolescence overseas, it was marked by a serious case of bullying. Now, as the only student of mixed Black and Japanese descent in her city, well, Suki put up with a lot of snide remarks and outright insults during class hours. And not just from the other students, but the teachers as well. Now, her mother would do her best to defend her, but eventually it all became too much. Now, rather than keep Suki in a toxic setting, well, her grandmother put her foot down and encouraged Suki's mother to send her back to live with her father, where she could grow up, a little more comfortable living in Houston, Texas. That would begin in her father's garage, only to eventually grow and play a much bigger role in her life and her future. Now, over the next few years, well, Suki, she would bounce back and forth, living in both Houston and Japan. Now, thanks to all this upheaval, well, she wound up losing touch with another passion of hers, which was actually 3D design. Now, during her time in Japan, she had begun animating with 3D computer programs, even going so far as to post some of her early designs on YouTube. But whenever she returned to Houston, well, that hobby, it fell by the wayside. It's probably the coolest thing to do in Japan, but here, not so much. Kids be going out, they get in trouble at 7-Elevens, you know what I mean? Now, why the sudden disinterest? Well, right around the time Suki was headed off to college, well, she picked up her first job as an adult dancer to help pay the bills. So I was wrong about the 7-Eleven, but got the rest pretty bang on. No, it wasn't exactly a career choice she had planned on from the start, but much to her surprise, she actually wound up loving it. And before she knew it, well, Suki was dropping out of college to continue dancing full-time. Now, Suki Baby is currently working regularly as an adult dancer at a venue known as Club Onyx, which is located out in Houston, Texas. I got a feeling Megan Thee Stallion's been there. For sure. She's from those parts. Plus, every girl's got to pay the bills at some point, right? But Texas isn't the only place that her services are in demand, and you can catch her performing at clubs anywhere from Atlanta to Hollywood on as a side hustle. Sorry if I was salivating. I just got over the stripper part and I just saw some photos. Over at Quo Nails, well, you can get everything from simple to elaborate creations, as well as press-ons by contacting Suki. That's through her social media profile and requesting a design. Now, what's more, well, over the past couple of years, well, Suki has also developed an interest in grills and teeth jewelry. Now, she even explained to G-Talks that she's been reading up on techniques in terms of how they're created to make designs of her very own. For now, however, she's focusing her artistic game. All the hype this girl's getting, I'm assuming she better drop that ASAP. She can sell whatever the hell she wants. Now, what's most impressive about how many pies Suki has her finger in is how she managed to do all of this while also growing her social media presence to epic proportions. I mean, sure, her recent association with Drake and 21 Savage, it's definitely helped her with her growth. But even before November of 2022, well, Suki had managed to secure a respectable audience for herself, raking in over 91,000 followers on Twitter and over 35,000 on the gram. I guess back in Japan, she picked up some followers there. I find Instagram easier than Twitter. Who knows? I don't know. Now you gotta pay, right? Pay to play, $8 a month. I don't use Twitter anyway. Who cares? Now, today, those numbers, they're much higher than that. And with her being no stranger to adult entertainment, well, Suki has launched an OnlyFans that provides her, more exposure, both literally and figuratively. Now, if that's not enough for your Suki Baby fix, well, you can also head on over to Twitch, where she's been known to give her viewers a look at some of her intricate pole dancing abilities. And that's from the comfort of her living room. So pretty cool. Now that we know more about who she is, however, let's get back to the question of how Suki Baby ended up on the cover of Her Loss. Now, Drake and 21 Savage's collaborative album, it was originally scheduled for release at the end of October in 2022. But the project, it was pushed back when Drake's longtime producer, Noah 40 Shabib, well, he came down with a case of COVID. Now, thankfully, he was able to regain his health soon enough, and his fans, they didn't have to wait all that much longer for the project's eventual release. Now, 2 days before it dropped, well, Drake, he debuted the front cover on his Instagram page, something that has since gotten him sued. That's right. The Six Gods fans, they were captivated by the striking image of Suki Baby with her 2 gold teeth, her long wispy eyelashes, as well as her perfectly laid baby hair. And then immediately they got to work wondering what the story was behind its selection. Well, according to Complex, the cover shoot, it was photographed by Houston-based photographer Paris Edine, and it was actually taken about 3 years ago. Now, in other words, this wasn't an image specifically created for Drake or 21 Savage's project. Paris would tell Complex that OVO, they reached out to her randomly a few weeks ago and asked if they could use the photo for their album cover. And she stated, Drake just saw the photo, I guess, and they asked if they could use it for the album. I shot that shit a long time ago. It was her profile pic, and he probably fell in love with what he's seen. Or did he? Because as it turns out, well, it might not have been Drake at all who handpicked the image. Now, according to an Instagram post from rapper Lil Yachty, well, he was actually the one who found the image and suggested it to Drake as the perfect picture to stamp the album with. He'd write, I chose this cover because this photo is so raw, so authentic, not fabricated. Suki can and will only be Suki. So there you have it. According to the credits, well, Lil Yachty, he did produce a number of the songs on Her Loss, so it's not like this suggestion emerged out of nowhere. And now Suki Baby, well, she is the one-night rapper to thank for her newfound fame. And, well, also being the face of one of the biggest rap albums of 2022. So what does that mean for her future? Well, if I had to guess, I'd say the price to retain her services for any number of things, it's about to go way up. Even that 3D design, if she wants to get into that, I'm sure people will buy anything she's selling, except for NFTs, because we all know by now that was a big scam, right? Right? That's a whole other story for a whole other video, because we're gonna wrap this one up here. This is Before They Are Famous.